Raw materials to make vaccines will likely top the agenda when India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar meets his US counterpart Antony Blinken today. This is the first trip by an Indian minister to Washington since President Joe Biden took office in January. Neha Punya has more.
Ross of Commerce here. And
the Indian Foreign Minister has a packed schedule ahead of him. He's expected to meet US Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Friday, and the two are likely to discuss, among other things, security in the Indo-Pacific and the Quad initiative that's aimed at countering China's growing influence in the region. The US has said it is keen to convene an in-person meeting of Quad members, including Australia, India and Japan later this year. There are also meetings scheduled with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and US Trade Representative Catherine Tai. The Indian Foreign Minister's visit comes at a time when New Delhi has clashed with US tech giants like Facebook and Twitter over new social media rules, but top of the agenda is going to be vaccine cooperation. While India's daily COVID-19 caseload has dipped, the country is still recording more infections and deaths than any other country in the world, and despite being the world's largest vaccine manufacturer, India's own vaccination drive has failed to take off due to severe shortages. Only 3% of all Indians are fully vaccinated. Which is why experts say New Delhi will be hoping that the Biden administration will release a large chunk of its spare vaccines to India. The US plans to export 80 million doses from its stockpile by June to needy countries. Talks are also expected to cover the smoothing of exports of raw materials that India needs to scale up vaccine production at home. More than 200 ingredients come to the country from the US. Last month, caving under increasing public criticism, the Biden administration finally loosened restrictions on the export of vaccine raw materials, but domestic companies say supplies are still erratic. Reports suggest that the Indian Foreign Minister might also hold a meeting with Pfizer representatives. India's emergency authorization to that vaccine has been pending because of the US drug maker's insistence that its company get legal protection in the event of any adverse reactions from its vaccine. Neha Punya, CNA, New Delhi.
Jailed Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been given another prison term of 14 months. The sentence is for his involvement in an unauthorized assembly in October 2019. 9 other activists were also found guilty. 4 of them also got additional time in jail. Lai, who's the founder of Apple Daily, is already serving a 14-month sentence for taking part in other unauthorized assemblies in the same year. Hong Kong authorities are taking further steps to crack down on Lai. They've threatened his bankers, HSBC and Citibank, with up to 7 years jail if they deal with any of the billionaire's accounts. The move follows the freezing of Lai's majority stake in publisher Next Digital and the local accounts of 3 companies he owns. Roland Lim with more.
Beijing labels Jimmy Lai a traitor after his frequent visits to Washington to meet officials like former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to rally support for democracy in Hong Kong. Former lawmakers Lee Chok Yan, Leong Kok Hong and Sid Ho, who also pleaded guilty, are already serving prison terms in relation to other cases. The other 6, including ex-lawmaker Albert Ho and Yong Sam, have also had their bail revoked and are currently remanded in custody. The arrests and subsequent convictions of dozens of pro-democracy activists is fallout from the 2019 anti-government protests, which started out as opposition against an extradition bill which the government later withdrew, but led to the worst crisis the city had ever seen since the handover. Roland Lim, CNA, Hong Kong.
Your Asia Business Update is next with Henry Yin. JD Logistics delivers a sparkling IPO, surging at the start of its first day of trading in Hong Kong. And later, Singapore authorities crack down on a social media platform for an offending poll.
Love Love city living? Singapore Property Show presents stunning developments in the core central region. The ultimate in luxurious living with access to the best high-end restaurants and boutiques right in the heart of town. Experience stunning 4D virtual tours of these properties and get expert advice on property investments at our webinars. It's all happening at sps2021.99.co. Register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organised by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
This is Game Oji-san.
I make YouTube videos. While he does bespoke carpentry, I get up close with a new generation of local craft people.
Whatever it took to become a woodworker, I think I did it.
Starting with a furniture artisan.
If you're a CEO, the desk represents you.
Where I keep all my fingers? Handmade Tales, a brand new series, Sunday on CNA.
Every day, the financial world goes through dramatic rise and falls. We'll track the biggest market movers and show you where the opportunities lie. Get the experts' take on the performance of key indices. Plus all the analysis to help you understand forces driving global economies. The daily business news you need. Only on CNA. This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation.
This Saturday, could rising inflation derail the post-pandemic economic recovery?
Those parts of the market that are more overvalued could easily get hit.
Relooking China's growth model as its population ages.
Chinese babies are not growing into industrial workers in the future.
Plus, how to be a part of the blockchain boom. Saturday on CNA.
So little land with so many mouths to feed.
Land matters. The future is going to be really challenging.
Dan akhirnya dibuang seperti ini dengan mubazir sangat disayangkan sekali. Ini adalah solusinya.
We can turn Singapore into a protein powerhouse overnight, but people don't understand what we're doing.
Women farmers are the solution for the food security problem.
Race to Feed the World, Monday on CNA.
This June, Asia's past, present and future comes together. Race to feed the world as scientists, farmers and entrepreneurs solve the impending food crisis. Journalist Yu Maraki unveils the transformation of Japan's social and political identity in Deciphering Japan, and relive the history of the Chinese Communist Party as it marks 100 years of existence. This June on CNA.
Welcome back in business. Japan's unemployment rate crept up to 2.8% in April from 2.6% in the previous month. And that's slightly worse than analysts' expectations as the prolonged battle with COVID-19 continues. Well, economists say that the data also reflects a current mismatch in the supply and demand for labor in the Japanese economy. And recent purchasing managers' data have been pointing to a tightening labor market. And latest jobs to applicants ratio was at 1.09 and slightly lower from the previous months and on the back of that labor market friction. And looking ahead, Japan is expected to post a higher jobless rate this month as the extension of virus emergency measures in Tokyo and Osaka weigh on jobs demand, particularly in the services sector. Well, despite the jobless data, Japanese markets are higher today as the yen slides to a 7-week low against the dollar, boosted exporters, helping to lift sentiment. The Nikkei pushing past the 29,000 level, and now it's up by around 2.2%. The Kospi also seeing a rebound today thanks to gains in Hyundai Motor, and sentiment also supported by upbeat data from the US overnight. And Shanghai's benchmark index edging lower in the afternoon session as pharmaceuticals weighed on the sentiment, but led by rising HSBC share prices in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index still manages to stay above the flat line. Banking stocks in the city are seeing higher trading volumes on fresh optimism about the global recovery outlook. And one counter making its debut in Hong Kong today, well, JD Logistics, the delivery arm of JD.com. The counter jumping right from the opening at 46.05 Hong Kong dollars, or 14% higher than its IPO price. That will give the Chinese delivery and warehousing firm a stock market value of some $36 billion. but it's now giving up some of those gains. It's now trading up by around 4.4%. Well, the IPO was more than 700 times subscribed by retail investors, and the institutional offer was also about 11 times subscribed. Shares were priced at 40.36 Hong Kong dollars apiece and raising some $3.2 billion, making this the second largest IPO in Hong Kong this year. But remember, JD Logistics is